Hey everyone, I'm Aaron Levy. I'm the evangelist here at Optmyzr, and I'm here with a customer I know very well. We've had a lot of dialogues together. But Sean, do you want to take a quick second to introduce yourself and the agency?
Yeah, so I'm Sean Clark. I own a small agency based in the UK. We are a little SIs really because we look after a large number of mainly PPC accounts here in the UK.
Nice, nice. And what types of clients do you work for? Like you said, mainly in the UK, but is it a mix of e-com, lead gen, all over the
It
place?
it is a mix. Our lead has always been on e-commerce, mainly because that's my original background when I got into
Mm,
digital marketing back in the late 90s. Yeah, so e-commerce was always my forte. So they're the clients that I'd always gone after. But as is the way of things, doesn't matter what you put yourself out there as, others seep in. So now, yes, succinctly, we do a mix of lead gen and e-commerce.
great, great to hear. And I know that you're a very technical guy, you're a tinkerer, so I assume you had some automation starting in the late 90s, but obviously you haven't been an Optmyzr customer forever. So what were some of the challenges that you faced before
Yeah.
using Optmyzr?
Well, tinker is the right word, more than anything else. I was very good at the old Control C, Control V back in the days when that was a bit more the way we of doing things. The biggest issue was when I started my agency, especially, it was just me. Acted as a consultant, and you get a few clients on the books, and then you get the management issue of trying to manage everyone. And I was always looking for ways that I could cope with the volume to maximize the revenue that I was making and not just keep selling the same old hours
Mm,
over and over. Initially, use a lot of outsourcing. That was quite weak because you couldn't always get the decent outsourcers when you needed them. And then they decide to go and start up their own companies, so no longer outsourcers when they were pretty good.
detect a bad memory there.
Yeah, and the other thing was that employing people part time really wasn't the key. We're talking of times when there there wasn't a lot of experience in the industry, so it's not like you go and poach someone. You had to hire by mindset. And so I was looking for people with a certain attitude, analysts, really like getting gritty into things and digging
Mm,
around in things. And fundamentally, really like delving into spreadsheets because back then,
that's what it
um, that
was. That's what
that
it
was the
was.
optimizer of the day. Spreadsheets, and I always remember Fred's ad scripts that we were always looking for ways to utilize and leverage, which eventually became the optimizer it is now. But yeah, so we basically were using, they weren't even automations. They would have been formulas within spreadsheets back
Yeah,
then.
and data feeds into spreadsheets to get your reports automated that would never work.
We would be lucky if we had a data feed. It'd be more click and export
So
and
just
do
a
what
lot
you
of
can with it.
just a lot of stuff, a lot of time that you're not using your
Yeah,
brain and you're stuck using your hands. But we're on computers. What am I using my hands for?
it was a good learning though. It was a
It
good
was.
learning. It as it's the worth that is proved now is that in the day of AI, I'm not going to nip too far forward, but just give you a comparison. Your ability to spot patterns and or issues in data that you're looking at pays off 100 times when you're working 10 times faster nowadays with systems spitting information out you left, right, and center. That ability to dive back into those almost like muscle memory moments where you say,
Mm,
that output doesn't quite look right. Might have turned it around in a couple of milliseconds. It doesn't quite ring true. So it has paid off. That learning to dig a hole before you
mhm.
get in the big JCB makes the JCB much more effective and efficient.
Yeah, yeah, because you know where to dig, you know what the outcome to look like, you know what
Exactly.
you want the process to go through. I'm going to jump around the questions a little bit because it
Good.
seems like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
good time. You know exactly where I'm going. Do you want to start with Sidekick or the MCP?
Either. Go for it.
Let's go Sidekick first, because
Yeah.
obviously we've been stepping towards the MCP, but you've been a loud voice in Sidekick and improving it and using it and testing it and finding ways to break. You talked a little bit about other AI powered tools, but speaking specifically about us, Sidekick's grown. How have you used it? How has your usage changed over the years, or is it minimal?
Okay. So our history of Optmyzr goes back to 2016. So we've seen the platform evolve massively. And I think Sidekick was the first little inkling that things were about to change and get really interesting. And whilst, can I be honest, whilst I didn't find it wholly useful, what was useful about it was that it did give us an idea, or it provoked thoughts and a way of thinking. So the output was a little bit generic, and I was early on calling for let us put an API key in, please, for our own LLM model. But Sidekick went through an evolution, and it is where it is now because of where it started, and it couldn't have just leapt there. So it was good. We didn't use it much. When we did, it was just light touches, just for a quick answer on some level data. But I wouldn't disregard it, because I think it was an important step in the evolution.
Yeah, it was funny because I'm just about a year and change here at Optmyzr. When I joined and started playing with Sidekick, it was like, okay, you guys tried. This is cute. I'm proud that you tried. But with feedback from everyone, I like to say it's kind of like Alfred in Batman. It's not the tool itself, but it's going to go find you the right tool. So I think for some of our newer customers, it might be a helpful navigation tool. As you've seen, there's no secret about it. Optmyzr is not the prettiest of the platforms. And essentially, there's so much stuff in there, navigation can be a challenge. So if you don't know where to go, hopefully people can use Sidekick to help find the right way.
Can I just come in on that point about Optmyzr not being the most prettiest of platforms?
Of course.
Over the years, that essence has always appealed to me. There are certain CRM, they call themselves CRM now, but content management platforms that look very pretty and are marketed very well, that just don't do what they're sold to do. You have some competitors that are very curved around the edges and look very lovely, but when you get in there, the tools don't stand up to it. I much prefer something that actually does what it says on the tin, quite literally, however hard it might be to find stuff in there. That for me is the actual functionality is key.
I love that, and I appreciate that. Substance over style sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're kind of stylish. Certainly these two books are. Let's get to the good stuff. You were hankering for an MCP often, and I was so excited to send you an email when we finally had it launched. And I think I got you over to the team Claude. But talk to me, how has the usage of the MCP changed how you interact with Optmyzr? How has it changed your workflow?
It's fantastic. A thing to understand is we've been a shrinking agency over the years. So Optmyzr has been an absolute boon to us to be able to manage the number of accounts we do between us. And then the MCP coming along, I've got to be honest, I didn't even know what an MCP was up until very recently. Around that point, I was just saying, can I have access to the API? When you release the MCP, that was a major milestone for me personally. It took me a while to get people internally on board and up to tune, but now they are. In a way, it's a bit weird. For some of the uses of Optmyzr, I'm in there less now because I don't need to be in there looking at data and looking at screens. All of a sudden, and it did move me over to Claude from ChatGPT as well, because I find Claude much better at doing this analysis. And I can now have in-depth conversations around data, and I feel very confident in the output that's coming out. One of the issues with, let's say Gemini and Google Ads, for example, one of the problems there is that I can only look at Google Ads.
There shouldn't be too many businesses that are just running Google.
Exactly. And where we have accounts, and we do have some accounts running across LinkedIn, Facebook, Microsoft Ads, and Google Ads, to be able to have the whole conversation around a clients' total paid channels
Mm-hmm.
with all the things in consideration, and whether we should look at moving some budget from one platform to another or within that. Yeah, it's been groundbreaking, to be quite frank.
I'm so glad to hear that. And it's funny, Fred and I have chatted a bunch about this, and I think he's spoken about it publicly too. We don't care about how people use Optmyzr, we just care that they use it. So the fact that you're not logging in, you're operating from your local machine, you're talking to something that's on there, you're working through workflows that touch to other things, that makes us happy.
Yeah.
I think if this was 15 years ago, it would be like, oh, we should make a voice app that people can talk to it, which you can. But I think we like this format a little more.
Yeah. I will say that we're in Optmyzr every single day. It is the first screen that gets open in our daily stand-ups. We do have a daily stand-up, and the Optmyzr dashboard is our bread and butter. It's literally our traffic lights of what's good to go, what do we need to look at today. So we use that in conjunction with major alert rules, but that dashboard is our nerve center for our business.
That's interesting to hear. Jumping to the next question I was going to ask that you answered already. No, it's totally fine. Is finding out how it fits into some people's workflow. And some agencies will have Optmyzr sitting off to the side, and they'll check it every couple of weeks, and that's totally fine. It sounds like you're using more of headquarters. This is where you start your day and you finish your day.
Yeah, yeah. And I won't hide behind the fact that over the years we've often thought, can we duplicate this somehow, and we'll have our own one internally. And as it's got on further and further, and now with the MCP, it's like, why would we even bother trying? It's so embedded in what we do now that it is actually part of our day-to-day business.
Yeah, it's funny. Obviously, we're not immune to the fact that in the days of vibe coding and ChatGPT and everyone can code, no doubt some people are going to build their own little teeny tiny optimizer. But what we hope to do is for folks like you and others, as I said, you've been so forward with feedback, and I'd like to think that you give feedback, we build it. It certainly saves you a lot of time, and it's nice having a support staff of teams so you don't have to debug everything.
But 100%. We, as I said before, we're a small team that don't have time for that. We hire an accountant to do the accounts, and we'll rely on you to build all the widgets we need to manage our PPC ads. Thank you very much.
Hey, it's what we're good at. All right, this is a hard question to answer, but I'd like to ask it. And again, you've alluded to it a little bit, but this is the measurable things of how Optmyzr helped your business. Obviously, you mentioned it, the shrinking agency, maybe taking on more with less, but are there ways that you've been able to measure Optmyzr helping your business, knowing full well it's been there for a long time?
Yeah, to be honest, it got to the point where we don't even think about the measurement now. We used to, back in the day, it used to be the little sign that would come up and say, you saved 100 hours by performing this. Honestly, they were spot on. Maybe not the exact hours, but the time saving is absolutely real. And but it was always more than that. What made us stick with Optmyzr and not go elsewhere was the human beings, the customer support. Can I name names?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's my favorite thing. I love this part. Yeah, so everybody loves her customer support.
Anushka is an absolute star. The amount of times, and not just myself, but other staff members have gone to Anushka and said, look, the output we want is this. We've tried asking Sidekick, or we tried doing it ourselves, can't quite get it right. She'll go off, work it with the team, and then come back to us with the solution. And it might not be right. So we'll just give some feedback, tweak, and the rules are done. That's almost like the wizard behind the curtains, really, for me. And that's what keeps us tied in, is not just all this lovely automation, but the fallback to someone that really knows the system. This isn't some sort of put in front agency contact that just teases us when we have an issue or anything. This is someone that's really out there to help. And that means I'm more than happy to test new stuff, give feedback. And the reason being is I know there's someone behind there that's going to action it if they can. And I don't always get what I ask for, but it's
we'll try.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's really the rounded story for us around Optmyzr. Is it's saved us time, it's made us efficient, it's given different processes, but it's also the people behind the company that have supported us literally all the way through the journey.
I'm so happy to hear that. You saw my excited dance before. This has happened on literally every case study that I've recorded. Everyone wants to call out their account manager because it's biased, of course, but it's been impressive for me as well. I've had good account manager relationships and challenging ones. But to have everyone so excited, it just makes me very proud of the culture that our support team has built of being helpful, being useful, and of course, having a good relationship and being a friend. So it's very satisfying to hear that felt on the other side, especially from someone who supported us for so long.
It's good, enjoyable.
All right, the parting fun questions. If you could summarize your Optmyzr experience in a sentence or a word, what would it be?
Enjoyable. It is actually a joy to use the system. And we discover new things. You do copious amounts of announcements about new features that we miss all the time. And we often click over obvious stuff because we're so busy. But those new little things that come through now and again. And my colleague, Darren, some of the search term stuff that you're doing in the background have really pleased him.
The AI clustering stuff.
Yeah, because that's what we're defending against right now is waste of spend. And it does bring a smile to my face to think we've got a first line defense against these behemoths who will spend your money.
Can you imagine how much this is going to change in the next year now that everyone is going to conversational search for everything? Like, negatives are destroyed. It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun.
They've already obscured search terms by saying, they're part of full conversations. We'll give you
exactly
ones.
Imagine when we're going from, there's a new query every 5 seconds or whatever, to now every query is new.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. That's why we have jobs. I kind of teased it, but what's a PPC trend or a platform change that you're either excited or cautious about?
To be honest, there's not much I'm excited about because honestly, quite a lot of what's coming through is almost expected now. Yeah, we're just waiting for them to be able to build whole campaigns themselves. We're a bit cautious about where the agency stands in the loop, but at the moment, it is definitely standing up for the little guy, especially the small to medium size ad spend clients, because these systems, they need, quite rightly, I get it, they need volume to work properly when they're running AI and when they're doing their targeting like they're targeting. They need that learning. And when we've worked with clients long enough where they've got the learnings on something like Facebook, we're having some fantastic returns on Facebook now, where it's grabbing the learning and working with it and really understands the client's end result. Not so much on Google, but at the moment, we're very much in that defensive phase. The only exciting bit really is around creative, because the creative is getting better and better. But the cautious bit is these guys out there, they need you to spend money so that they can still exist, and they will make sure these systems work for their very, very big clients. We just need to make sure that the small to medium spend companies are well served and don't go turning all the buttons on, please.
Yeah, it's a very astute observation. I've personally been excited about a lot of the changes coming out. It's a dramatic change, but I've also worked with enterprise businesses for most of my life. And so data was never a problem. But when you're talking about someone who's spending 1, 5, even 10,000 pounds, data scarcity is real. And then we got to find new ways to fix it.
100%.
But hey, that's why we exist, and that's why you have a job, and that's why we're going to keep on driving the industry forward. Sean, I really enjoyed this. Any parting thoughts, or you can finish your afternoon and I can start my morning?
I'm just looking forward to the time when I could just sit here, talk with Claude, and goes and sorts Optmyzr out for me, and then just gives me a shout when there's something I need to look at, and then we can both sit there and drink tea.
Let's give us 6 months, 8 months. Don't quote me on that. Sean, this was great. I can't thank you enough for all your support and all your feedback over the years. You're a treat to work with. And if you're a small business in the UK, by all means, look up Sean and Clark St. James.
Thanks, Aaron. Really appreciate it. And keep up the good work.
Cheers, Sean. Thank you.